All good?
There you want the H.
Do you have any other questions, guys? All good?
You can start.
Okay, sounds good. Just for you to know, maybe the last point I want to cover with you here is that the transfer supply requirements. Basically, as you see here, this is kind of the only item we don't provide with the system. Okay. And basically, you need an external pressure source to feed the system. Okay, and this is sometimes the tricky part to deal with the users on the sales side. And basically, what I observe is that most of the lab, they have built-in pressure lines, so it's okay, but sometimes you need to provide a compressor. We can provide you with a compressor if needed, but you can also, especially in your case, if you're simply just resell the system, you can simply buy it on your own in Korea and basically resell it there. Make sense?
Okay.
I have one question about this.
Please.
Can we also use like gas cylinders, high pressure gas cylinders for N2 or something like that?
So this is definitely something we see a lot of people using, mostly for demos. Okay, the problem is that the system tends to leak continuously a bit because of the pressure control of the pressure controller we use, and so this means that basically we this can be used for say a few days. This is fine, but if you want to use it for long term, you're just gonna deplete your gas cylinder every 2 weeks or so. So that's just gonna be way too often, right? So this is why you'd rather have a compressor.
But I have like one concern about this compressor system is that there's a fluctuation when it recharges, the pressure inside it, right? So
yeah, this is fully handled by the pressure controller that we have. We used the one from Elveflow, and we've been using it so as I said to you, I used to work for Elveflow, and I've been providing this system for more than 10 years and never had there is no problem with this. The system by itself handles this very, very well. Yeah, and I agree. There is a peak that happens at some point, but it's completely handled by the pressure controller.
Thank you.
So yeah, this is it. We have a couple of applicative results. I'm gonna skip those because it's really person dependent. So if you have any users that needs a bit of more technical data, I'm very happy to share them. Just come to me and I'll share them what we have with you. Now maybe one topic I think is important to cover is more to say who are our users and what do they look like, and the competition. So basically what is important for you to understand is that there is two main personas that we discuss with, two different types of people that we discuss with. The first type of people we discuss with a lot is the RNA lipid nanoparticle formulation specialist. At the moment, they consist of 70% of our users, but in practice, they are only 30% of the users, okay, of the total market. Technically, those guys, they generally are specialists in drug delivery, in pharmacy. This is people you're going to be meeting at drug delivery conferences, for instance, or pharmaceutical science conference, or nanoparticle conference. They talk about nano drug delivery systems. They're very good with it. They generally already have experience in lipid nanoparticle formulation. They usually already have a system in-house, or they know what they're doing. And they mostly work with LNPs, but sometimes, and these are the ones that mostly work with the more fancy type of nano, such as like polymer, peptides, nanoparticles, and so on. They are the people you can go straight to the point. You don't need to explain the whole science. What they want to understand is, what is the advantage of the system over the others? Why is it good? And so on. And especially if they have been working with RNA LNP before the COVID vaccines, usually they're super duper expert on the topic, okay? And this is the people we speak to the best at the moment, okay? This is the people that know us best and everything. But I believe this is the smallest part of the market, okay? And it is very counterintuitive, but basically the biggest part of the market is the biologist. Unfortunately, this is at the moment the people we speak to the least good. Or the worst, mostly because they are farther away from the application side, okay? Because those people here, they are typically specialists in the biology or in the cell and gene therapy field or in immunology or in oncology. So they're very biologists, and basically they only see lipid nanoparticle as a tool, okay, to achieve an application. And they will talk about the application, the process, technically, and this is what I told you before, this is people that have already worked with viral delivery systems, okay, or they've used electroporation before, and they just see LNP as an improved approach to that. But they're not specialists on the nano, and what they just want is something that works. Okay, and usually those people, you really need to support them a little bit more, because basically the gap between where they are and where they want to go is a little bit broader. Okay, does it make sense? Does it make sense to you on this, on the two different types of personas and the two different types of people we mostly discuss with, and why are they different? Is it clear? All good? It's a very important element, because even in terms of marketing, we discuss those people differently. We go to different conferences. For instance, last week, and I shared the list with you already, Robin, that I went to CRS, and CRS is the Control Release Society, and there was RNA lipid nanoparticle for formulation specialist. Now, if I go to the and we sometimes go there to the American Society of Cell and Gene Therapy, there is only biologists. And so the people are very different there, because they are really biologists that are looking to use LNPs. Okay, so very, very, very different approach. They are much less expert instead. Okay, and so you will see that you need to talk to those people very differently. No questions on this? All good. The different types of persona. All right, cool.
Yeah, it will disappear.
Now, if I talk a bit about the competition, so basically when you talk about the research and development of RNA lipid nanoparticles, I would say 80% of the people are using microfluidics. The rest, they're using some weird stuff that honestly, they're mostly using pipette mixing at the end of the day. And basically, out of the 80% of microfluidics, the wide majority is using precision systems. Okay, Unchained Lab is our second biggest competitors. Then there is a couple of Chinese copycats of precision nanosystems. They simply just copied what precision nanosystems was doing. And then there is a couple of other players, right? What we see is that our biggest competitor is Precision Nanosystem. It is normal because they've been around for around 10 years now. They were the first in the space. They were the one that opened the field. And so obviously they have the biggest market share. All right. Okay, so let me go into more details into the competition side. The first kind of competitor you see a lot is actually the homemade system. Okay. So it might be a little funny, but eventually a lot of people, one of the biggest competitor we have is actually people putting together their own homemade system. This system, they're very functional. They make nanoparticles, but the problem they have mostly is that the volume range you can access and the complexity of use make them very, very limiting. The first one is that the volume range you can access, as we say, because of the losses, because you have very low volume at high flow rate and everything, because of the dead volumes and all this, basically, the minimum volume worked is usually in the milliliter range, which is way too large for most people that are working on research scale. And that's it. The second, and this is usually what's the most limiting, is that putting together this kind of homemade system is the complexity of use. Is basically you need to have one expert in every single lab that can handle the system, and typically that can be you, the microfluidic specialist that does it. But whenever this person leaves, basically the system gets completely unused, and we have a lot of users that come back to us, be like, hey, we had the expert in microfluidics. He was making the nanoparticles, right? It was great, but then he left because he went for a postdoc. And now we have nobody that can use the system anymore, that know how to make it work. And so we need to have a system that works. So can we get one of your machines for it? Okay, makes sense. So there is this process. It remains a tough competition, mostly because of the price and because it's kind of very easy to. It's way cheaper. Does it make sense to you on the first competition line? Okay. The second competition we see a lot is Cytiva, so Precision Nanosystem. Bear in mind that Precision Nanosystem has been bought out by Cytiva recently, and this is actually one of their big downfall, mostly because since they have been acquired by Cytiva, Cytiva is just looking to make money, and they don't support users anymore, and so people in the field hate them. But they are the standard. Okay, this is what most people are using, because if you look at papers, this is what is mostly used, and this is the most common equipment in the space. Okay, what you have to see is that basically they have mostly 4 systems: the Spark, the Ignite, and the Blaze that you see here. Okay, and so basically the Spark is the low volume formulation, very low volume formulation for below basically 200 microliter. Then there is the, oh, sorry for the French. I just realized there is a bit of French and English here. My bad. I'll try to put it together in more details. But basically, the Ignite that you see in the middle is the standard in the field. It's very robust, which is kind of very positive. They have like 100 plus publication, which makes it very the standard in the space, and they can go up to 60 milliliter in volume. All right, but the problem mostly is the cost, the single-use chips, and the cost of the chip at the moment. That is the main limiting factors that they have, plus the volume range they can access. And at the moment, basically, so as you understand, Tamara is positioning itself as a combination of the Spark and the Ignite within one system. So this is what makes Tamara this competitive, is that it's really just an alternative that combines both the Spark and the Ignite. And then Precision Nanosystem, they also have the different microfluidic system that scale up to GMP scale, but to be honest, people are struggling with it, mostly because of the point that you were mentioning before. At some point, you go out of the laminar flow condition or even the transition regime, and you basically switch to a full turbulent flow, and you completely lose the advantage of microfluidics. And so it becomes just a simple T mixer that is very expensive. At the end of the day, this is sort of what it looks like. But that's kind of the approach here. So there is a bit more info on this. If you want, we can discuss it more. Do you have any questions on this? Or is it pretty much clear? Okay. The second competitor, so bear in mind that this is our main competitor, and this is the people we mostly face. This is the people we mostly face, and in terms of competition at the moment, with the Spark and the Ignite. Okay. The second kind of competitor we see is Unchained Labs, formerly known as Particle Works. Okay. And basically, those guys, and I'm not going to develop them too much because to me, they're a bit more indirect competition, okay? Because basically, they took a completely different route, whereas Precision Nanosystem, they look for a route to, like us, make lipid nanoparticle formulation easily accessible. What happened with Unchained Labs is that they basically went for the automation route, okay? So they have these machines that are fully automated, okay? They are much more expensive. Okay, much more complex to use, but eventually you can do a bit more automation. And typically, the machine that we see the most is the Sunscreen, which is this machine that you see here. And the Sunscreen is basically a high throughput machine available. The main high throughput system available on the machine, high throughput screening, sorry. And so the idea is to you use a 96 well plate and you just do the formulation directly from a 96 well plate automatically, and this kind of works very efficiently. So this is kind of the approach they use. So they're not necessarily a direct competitor to us. Okay. So these are two main competitors, and then, as I say, there is just a couple of Chinese companies that basically are just exactly copying what Precision Nanosystem is doing and making it cheaper, but much less robust and with a lot of problems behind. So that's kind of the standard pure Chinese competition on this. Does it make sense to you on the competition side? I wanted to keep it short and not to go into too much detail to not overwhelm you with elements, but that's kind of the idea. So if you have no questions, I want maybe to tell you 2 success stories that we've had. The first one is the success story of Maria Jose Alonso, which is one of the two biggest labs in Europe for nanoparticle formulation. And basically, we just to tell you how did that happen, she basically contacted us through our website, okay? And basically, she was our first ever users. And why is this? Because she was using a precision nanosystem equipment. And basically, and this is a point I want to highlight here. And this is, and I didn't mention, it's important to mention. Sorry, let me come back to this. So the Ignite is the new system of precision nanosystem. Before they were providing this system, which is called NanoAssembler. Okay, this was up and they changed it in 2020. Okay, when they did the switch between the NanoAssembler to the Ignite, the main difference is that in the NanoAssembler, the chip could be reused. In the Ignite, they cannot anymore. They have this barcode on the chip that makes it that you need to scan it before reusing it, so that you cannot reusing it. And people hate precision nanosystem for this because they force them to one change machine, second now only work with single-use chips. Okay, so people hate them for that. And there is still tons of people that have the old NanoAssembler and that are slowly running out of chips. And so there is a big opportunity for us to take over. Is it clear, this part? That there is really an opportunity here to take over the spot of the old precision nanosystem so that they don't switch to the Ignite, but instead they go to us. And this is exactly what happened with Maria Jose Alonso. She was like, we have a NanoAssembler, it works fine. And we're very happy with it, but we have no chips anymore. The precision nanosystem don't provide us chips, and they want us to switch to this new machine with single-use cartridge, and we don't want to do that. So we're looking for other options, and this is how we started working with her. And eventually, why she buy was that she had no chips left, but she also the lower formulation volume was very useful for her in the chip reusability. And she is definitely our best supporter in the space at the moment. And she has already bought 2 of our machines, and she's already referred 2 or 3 labs to us already. So really, this kind of users, they can be very, very powerful. The second kind of lab that we had was Raymond Schiffler. And Raymond Schiffler is one of the biggest PI in Europe as well. And basically, we have a partnership with him on the European project. And basically, and this is really what is working the best in terms of sales, is that we did a one-day demo at their place. In the morning, we install the machine, we give them the introduction. In the afternoon, we do maybe 10 formulation, they get the results, they're very happy with them, and basically they got the system. They already had an Ignite, an Unchained Labs, and a NOR in the system, and basically what they tell us is that our system is currently the most used, mostly because it is very easy to use, especially against Unchained Labs, and versus the Ignite is the lower volume and the fact that you can reuse the cartridge that makes it more simple to use. And so basically they bought 1 machine from us, and basically they already advised us to 3 or 4 different teams. So you have to bear in mind that in this case, the key opinion leaders are very, very powerful, okay? And getting a hook on them is definitely powerful. And on this side, on the sales side, I'm very happy to be flexible. Okay, so if you tell me, oh, this is the biggest key opinion leader in Korea, and can we give him a special price? I will always be yes, because I believe this is a very, very strong way to get people to work with us. Okay, that's it. That's pretty much it. Now, on the so that was kind of all the presentation I wanted to give you guys. Do you have any other questions? Because this was really a general introduction. As you've seen, I have shared a lot of elements with you as well in our shared folder, including the training and all these different items more in depth. But if you have any questions, please tell me.
We have a strong point of view.
Actually, I have one concern about, like, not concern, but just one doubt about the performance of herringbone structures, because as far as I know, I think you would agree too that herringbone structure is very versatile. I mean, very, like, it's prone to fouling.
Yeah.
So
up to around liters, it's not a problem.
Up to a liter.
Up to I'd say up to 50 milliliter, it's not a problem.
50 millimeters.
Yeah, it's basically really when you look to scale up that it's become problematic, and this is why we don't do the scalability
with the Tamara system. And I don't believe in the scalability of the microfluidics at the moment.
Mm.
We have, and I don't want to discuss it here because it's kind of more of an opening of what we want to do next year and the year after. We have an approach that is going to solve this problem, but basically we won't be using herringbone mixers because you're right, going above 50 milliliter with herringbone, it becomes tricky, and above 100 milliliter, basically it falls like every time. I can show you some data if you're interested.
Yeah, so actually, I was quite surprised about the performance because even with the herringbone structures, you achieved a high efficiency, like encapsulation efficiency and yield. So I was quite surprised because when I talk to like leaders, I mean PIs in this field, like Professor Daeon Lee or from UPenn or Manabu Takeshi from Hokkaido Universities, like they all agree that choosing herringbone structure is not a good idea in this matter, but you surprisingly achieved high efficiencies here. So I was quite surprised, but I was wondering, like, how did you guys achieve this? So
yeah, so again, the question is not I believe their concern, and tell me if I'm wrong, the concern they have is mostly regarding the scalability of the process, and this is definitely a problem, and I have no say against that, and I agree with you, this is problematic. Now, if in terms of performances, the problem is in terms of encapsulation efficiency, mixing speed, and mostly those two parameters actually in PDI. Basically, this is the best structure that people have found. So typically, this remains a gold standard in the space at the moment. All right. Precision Nano, they've developed their own structures to be able to sort of bypass that, but still, in terms of performance, they're slightly lower than this. So this is just actually, so it's mostly due to the scalability of the process, and sort of like many people are looking to find workarounds here. One of the biggest PI in the space is at UPenn. Is called Mike Mitchell. I don't know if you've ever seen his name or heard about him, but basically, what their approach there is, instead of what they do is that they use a herringbone mixer, and what they do is that they do coating of the herringbone mixer to basically improve to minimize, say, the clogging issues. This is another approach that can be used for it, but you see, even there they still keep herringbone as the standard structure. So as I said, herringbone mixers is just the standard. Now it has this big issue with the scalability of the process. And as I say, we're working on a workaround. It's a completely different mixing technology that we use, which is, and if you're a microfluidician, you will know it better than me. It's more an active mixer than a passive mixer that we want to use, and making it completely volume independent. So that's kind of the goal we have, making exactly the same nano from microliter scale to tens of liters without any clogging issues and all that. But eventually, as I said, herringbone is limiting because of that, mostly.
So one more question is like, does focusing channel like affected a lot, like in increasing the efficiencies in your structures?
So flow focusing channels?
Yeah, flow focusing structure you had.
So basically, okay, I can go through that if you want, but basically let me go back to this. So originally, the first ever system we provided basically was based out of a pure flow focusing structure. Okay, like this. The two problems with this is that, so it's functional and simple. Okay, it makes nanoparticles. The two main problems you have is that usually you have low yield, okay, and you have a very low mixing speed, so you have a poor control over the mixing condition, because this is purely diffusion based. You really just put your liquids next to each other, and it's purely the diffusion that is driving the mixing conditions here. All right, and basically because the surface sections between the two liquids is relatively small, the mixing speed is actually quite slow, or very slow, to be transparent. So achieving the size that you need in LNPs is not possible with this kind of structure. So this is why eventually you have to switch to more advanced mixing structures, such as the herringbone, the baffled, or bifurcating mixer, or anything, because you want to maximize sort of the surface sections between those two liquids. Because if you stick to a standard flow focusing mixer, basically you will never manage to achieve the performance you need to make LNPs.
Actually, my question was like, I thought you guys have like combined flow focusing structure and as well as baffle and chaotic mixer, Herringbone mixers. So you can see that there's a shift flow provided from side channels, right? So I think this could affect the mixing efficiency, so in an increasing manner. So,
again, at the end of the day, what you really want to do is to maximize the surface to volume ratio, and so the more surface interaction you can put together, the better. And so eventually, it's really just a matter of that, I'll say. All right.
Okay.
And so this is why we use this kind of double, this combination. You're right, of flow focusing and herringbone to eventually maximize the rate there. But again, I'm not at all concerned about the performances of the herringbone structure by itself. If I have to be concerned about one thing, is the scalability of these herringbone structures. Now, and just for you to know, all the tests we've carried out, we've never had any problem with up to 30 milliliter, even at higher concentration that we actually advertise with standard formulation with those. So that also gives you a benchmark. And with the triplicates and we multiply the different combination, we never had any problem with that. Now, again, we cannot commit to everything in the world. So we can just tell you, okay, we got all this data, now trust us or not. And that's kind of like up to you then to sort of adapt your process. Make sense?
Thank you.
So yeah, and just to be transparent, so with the lipid nanoparticle pack, we could go much higher, and we got people that are making 100 milliliter batches, and it still works with the herringbone structure. It's just it gets a little bit more messy with time. That's all. Any other questions?
Actually, I have a question about the sterilizing. So you can call it cleaning system. Our chip, you know, there is a very small channel and there was a lot of some bone shape. So I think there was a lot of some corners. So after the test, I think there must be remaining some samples. So how to accomplish to the cleaning it 100% and how to accomplish to the sterilized station?
You're totally right, and you're bringing a very good point here. If you clean the chip, you cannot ensure sterility. The only way to ensure sterility and cross-contamination is to take a new chip, fresh from a packet, and autoclave your reservoir, okay? But this is, I'll say, for the people that have a lot of money, this is what they will be doing because they want to take no risk. Now, most of the people, say in academic lab, for instance, they cannot pay for chips every time, and so they will just use cleaning. They know that there is a slightly bigger risk of cross-contamination, but if they clean well, there's supposed to be no problem. I think you are familiar with this already, but in microfluidics, there is this rule saying that when you clean a chip with roughly 10 times its internal volume, it's normally enough to clean the system. Here, we're more in the order of like hundreds to thousands of times the internal volume. But again, you cannot ensure it. There is no way to ensure it except from getting a new chip, okay? Okay, again, so it's a trade-off, a balance. Is people want to have low cost or people want to have sterility? If they want to have low cost, they clean, they reuse. It's normally okay, but it's maybe not perfect. If they really want to have the perfect solution, they can pay for cheap every time, all right? What we want to do here is to allow them to have access to both solutions, and then it's them who decide, okay? Make sense?
Yeah.
Does it answer your question? Is it clear or not?
Clear.
Okay, sounds good.
No.
Okay, I have a question. Is there any available data for available performance data for first use the chip and the second or third run?
No, we don't, because it is dependent on the concentration, and it is dependent on the type of lipid you use, and it is dependent on the total volume. If you let me give you this example. If you work with high concentration and large volumes, there is more chances that the chips has still some lipids that get clogged, all right? Whereas if you work with low volumes and low concentration, there will be much less chance. So it's impossible to give you actually a number. It is system dependent. And I cannot tell you exactly how many times it is, okay? It's impossible. It's just,
Yep.
it depends so much on what the user is doing.
And my second question is, we've heard the production scale system is being developed in near future, and will the Herringbone mixer also be applied to that system?
No, it's a completely other approach that we'll have. Okay, it's a completely different approach. And basically, the scalability is going to be ensured not between the Herringbone and the new system, but within the new system. We will release early next year a new platform integrating our new technology, and then we'll make it GMP compliant. Okay.
Yeah. If possible, could you share any related data?
Oh, on what? On the new system?
New system.
Yeah, right. Give me a few months to get there, okay? At the end of the year, I swear I'll do that, okay?
And the third one is for application note. It appears that the result with 200 microliter tends to be inconsistent result. So
Yep.
are there any ways to improve or stabilize the outcome at this volume?
So this is a very good point you're bringing up here. At 200, so typically what I tell people is that when it comes to low volume, it's all a trade-off between quality and minimum volume you work with, okay? And so I have formulated at 80 microliters, for instance. So very, very, very low volumes, but the quality was really, really so-so. So typically what we say people is try to work at 300-400 microliters. This is usually the good starting point if you want to scale up, okay? Below this, it's a little bit more difficult. All right, we are internally working on improving this on the new version of the machine. But again, at the moment, we say 300-400 microliter as the sort of like sweet spot to be able to scale up then. Being transparent.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. And that's a very good question.
I'm sorry.
And I'm glad, and thanks for the question. That means that you already went through the application notes, so I highly appreciate that. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, so among the slides you presented today, I think I saw that Tamara is the only single system that can be used for all R&D stages.
Yeah.
Am I right? So, so what does all R&D stages mean here?
So that means like screening, vitro, and vivo. Okay. All the other machines that you have and that you see there, they are either, so the Spark from Precision Nanosystem is really meant for screening, but doesn't do vivo and vitro. And basically the Ignite is the exact opposite. Is great for vitro and vivo, but it doesn't do screening. Okay. And all the other platforms, nobody really covers the microliter and milliliter scale within the same machine. And so this is what gives us a lot of flexibility here. Make sense?
Yep, thank you. Can you send us the files that you used for a presentation today?
Yeah, so can I mind if I share my screen with you real quick?
Yeah,
so if I share my screen with you, I believe, guys, that I sent you this folder, which is our distributor folder, which basically includes all the different elements that we share with our distributors. And in here, there is some marketing material and the application note, the different logos that we have, different photos of Tamara and everything, if you need them. Then we have all the CE certifications and the protections in different countries. Then we have the sales pitch, where basically there is basically the slides that I use to present to people, the script that comes with it, and the frequently asked questions. Okay, and so the list of frequently asked questions that people can ask, and there is also all the training. Okay, and in the training there is this all-in-one training, which is basically an introduction I use today. All right, if you want, there is an even more detailed version of it, which is those guys that you see here. Let me put it this way. So there is those guys that you see here. One is the introduction to RNA technology, and there is like 20 slides around that. Introduction to RNA lipid nanoparticle formulation, the sales pitch of Tamara, the Tamara and the features, the persona and competition, much more information on the competition. Let me give you this example. So if you want, for instance, if you want more information about the competition, for instance, here today, I just talked about the persona very briefly, but there is much more information about the different types of persona. What are they? What is important for them? And so on. Same goes for the different types of persona. the customer journey, how to identify them, and so on. And same goes for the competition. Typically, I just presented to you this slide, which is very an introduction to the competition. But here there is more details about every single system in the competition that you can see. So you really, in the folder that I shared with you guys, and tell me if you want me to share it with you again. But there is both the all-in-one introduction that I used today and a more detailed presentation per sub part. All right, so you already got access to everything here. The problem, guys, is if I give you this whole training, it's gonna last like 5 days, so you're gonna hate me after that. So I'm not gonna do it, and I think I'm just maybe it's good that you have a look at it on your side better. Sounds good. I can reshare the folder with you if you want.
I believe Robin has received it, the whole file, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Google Drive file. No, it's not a Google Drive. It's but it's a shared folder. Yeah. Make sense?
Yeah. Any questions?
All good?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Right on
taking
time.
time to give us a presentation today. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time as well. Highly appreciate it. Again, so I know that this is a lot of information. I cannot give you everything. Again, this is why there is all the extra information that I shared, and you can have a look at them. Now, if you have any questions, feel free to send me an email directly, and I'll try to help you as much as I can. All right. Any questions, you feel free and you do not hesitate. I am here to help you. And it is normal that at the beginning of our relationship, you have a lot of questions. And I believe in time, you guys will be all great, and then you will be completely independent. But at the beginning, any questions is appreciated, especially as your question help us better understand what information should we provide to our partners and our distributors. So questions are more than welcome. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for your time too.
Thank you all, and you guys take care. We stay in touch, and I believe the next step is gonna be Yannick. Once you receive your machine, Yannick is gonna give you an introduction live on how to use the system, so you guys can do it on your side as well. Yeah, the operating side. This was more theoretical, and you will get the more practical introduction then. Sounds good?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time, guys.
Have a good day.
Have a good one.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.